shoes and out the door. 5, I'm alive. 6, 7, 8, feeling great.
Hello and welcome back to Beyond Your Wildest Genes podcast. My name is Dr. Noah DeCoyer and I am your co-host. Today our guest is my friend Dr. Kellyann Petrucci of Bone Broth fame. Dr. Kellyann is author of the New York Times best-selling book, Dr. Kellyan's Bone Broth Diet. She is also the host of the PBS special, 21 Days to a Slimmer, Younger You. A weight loss and natural anti-aging transformation expert, Dr. Petrucci has a private practice in the Birmingham, Michigan area and is a concierge doctor for celebrities in New York City and Los Angeles. She is a board-certified naturopathic physician and a certified nutrition consultant. Dr. Petrucci is a regular guest on television shows including The Doctors, Dr. Oz, and the national news programs, and has authored 6 books for John and Wiley Sons. In addition, she's a regular contributor to the Huffington Post and Mind Body Green. She is the driving force behind the popular website drkellyann.com, and Dr. Petrucci did postgraduate work in Europe studying naturopathic medicine in England and Switzerland, and she is one of the few practitioners in the United States certified in biological medicine by the esteemed Dr. Thomas Rao. Hello, Dr. Kellyann. How are you today?
Hello. I'm doing fine, Doc. How are you?
Great, great. You're one busy person. First off, I have to say thank you for being a guest on our 2 summits. I need to tell you that I loved your book, Dr. Kellyan's Bone Broth Diet. I bought 10 copies and gave it to some of my special top-notch patients. And
Makes my heart sing. It makes my heart sing, honestly.
And personally, I love your instant slim collagen broth instant packets. They're my go-to breakfast. I mix that with a little bit of ghee and a little brain octane oil.
Oh,
and it's the
beautiful, beautiful. And I'm going to make sure that I get some of that out to you. I'm glad that you are a fan of that product. It's selling like hotcakes because it's like the perfect solution for getting all the bone broth, goodness in you on the go. So I appreciate that you are recognizing that. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I do like the orange cream one too. I think it's great for my kids as a sports drink alternative.
So my kids do. Yes, that's what my kids have as well. And it's great to toss it into shakes too.
Yeah,
it's
like an orange cream,
booster.
right?
Yes, it's great. So yeah, the products are doing well because the program works and the products are clean, and one lends itself to another. So the book has had a massive following. I'm coming out, of course, with the cookbook that is the secondary book to the Bone Broth Diet. It's had massive success, and I'm happy enough to say that the PBS special that went along with it was incredible. It was incredible, and I'm setting up to do another one very shortly. And I've built a brand behind all of this good information, and my belief in having rock solid, purely clean, and truly innovative products.
Yeah, I couldn't agree. Now, I know you have a new book, and I want to talk about that, but I want to ask some real foundational questions so we can lead to the book.
Yes.
And you talk a lot about weight loss. You talk a lot about radiant skin in your books and your programs. And you mentioned 2 silent or hidden reasons why so many people have this resistant weight loss or skin problems, or they're not experiencing that anti-aging that we all want to experience in life. And what are those 2 hidden reasons?
Yeah, so I'll give them to you in a nutshell, and I can go deeper if you'd like. But the first and foremost is because most people are walking around, Doc, with a sick gut. That's the bottom line. Rarely, it's almost like the vitamin C or vitamin D conundrum. It's like, do you ever test someone for vitamin D and get a normal level? No. Mm-mm. Well, the same thing happens with the gut. We are exposed to so many little things that may seem trite and like a nothingness, but in terms of how your ecosystem works, how your body's environment, your internal terrain works, gut health is absolutely foundational, and it is more and more important that we learn and we address the situation, because that's true power. It's true power over your health. And the second is inflammation, and they both tie in together. They're very interconnected how they work, but inflammation is the second reason why people are not getting what they want. And I truly believe whatever vision you have for yourself, you can absolutely behold, because the body is constantly changing, renewing, it's replenishing, your cells are changing, therefore even your viscera, your organs, there's always opportunities to change because your cells have a life cycle. And if you feed your body the right raw material during the life cycle of the cells, you can have a whole new body. But what you need to do first is address those two things, which are really important. It is that silent and deadly inflammation and gut health. And inflammation is interesting because if you hear inflammation, it's not always a scary term, because if you have a sore throat or you break a bone, you certainly want inflammation to go in and you want it to heal. And if your body's interworkings are working correctly and your innate does what it's supposed to do, then that leaves the body. The inflammation does its work and it leaves. However, what we have is a problem of chronic or ongoing inflammation, which is a whole different story. It impacts your life and your body in a much different way. And this is almost like the inflammatory button gets stuck on the on position. And this is silent, deadly, and dangerous. And it causes so many of the modern day diseases that we see today. So many: heart disease, diabetes, all kind of autoimmune problems, and even obesity, and these thyroid problems that we're hearing so much about, and even autoimmunity and autoimmune issues. But we hear them more and more, and it's so much wrapped into this issue of having this inflammation, this forest fire that's so difficult to put out. And so the foundation of my work really is, it's about handling and managing these two things. And if I may, I'd like to add one more important component.
Sure.
And that is teaching your body to become a natural fat burner. That's the third layer to all of this. So really getting your gut healthy, getting rid of the inflammation, and then thirdly, really teaching your body to use the sugar most efficiently. So have your body really understand what to do when you eat something, and you eat something sweet, and your body is even impacted by sweetness factors, even if it's vegetables. Your body has to know what to do with this. And when it runs efficiently, it does. You become a natural fat burner. You end up burning stored fat for energy. And we love this because this is the fat we don't want. That dangerous belly fat, seriously dangerous. We burn that. We burn all of the fat that we don't want around our waist, our arms, under our chin, all of those things that we talk about that age us. We can train our bodies to become this natural fat burning machine, and it's easier than you think. So those three things are the pinnacle behind the bone broth diet and my work. Number one, healing the gut. Number two, killing that inflammation, that silent, deadly inflammation. And number three, training the body to become this natural fat burner.
I couldn't agree more. Now, in simple ways, how do we prevent or heal this silent or chronic inflammation?
So you have to learn to live an anti-inflammatory lifestyle and not a pro-inflammatory lifestyle. And it's really just a couple of quick decisions. So you have to also understand the baseline from which you're coming in. So a lot of us that have had medications, NSAIDs, things like that actually wrecks the gut. All of that wrecks the gut. A lot of the modern day foods that we eat, they wreck the gut. So here's what I suggest to really keep it clean and easy. Think about two things. I'm going to give you three. I'm going to give you three tips that are going to help you take care of this. Number one, fermented foods are great. And they have an ick factor. When you hear about them, you think, come on, fermented foods, yuck. There are ways around this. And fermented foods can be really good. Things like kimchi, super good. I have kimchi. I actually throw it in my broth. I have it with eggs in the morning. There's all kind of ways. It's like an Asian cabbage salad that's fermented. And here's what all this fermented food does, really. You have to think of your body like this. We may have 60 trillion cells in our body, but we have 100 trillion of these microbes. And what microbes are, these are the protective bugs in your body. So if you think about it, we're really, and this is something I learned in Switzerland, that they're really big on talking about internal milieu, they call it. But we're bags of bugs. That's what we are. We are literally bags of bugs. And these bugs can work for you or against you. And that's the deal. So foods like fermented foods, they help those bugs work for you because you're actually nutrifying those with you have to really think about the biotics of the body and how the matrix of the body and how the body really works. And one of the best ways to keep that soil really fertile and healthy and working for you is fermented foods. And if you don't like fermented foods, I always tell patients or readers coconut kefir is your best bet because it's super easy to slam down. It's got a good taste to it. I like things that are dairy-free. That's just my philosophy and my anchoring how I feel about things. Most of the time, most people, from what I've seen, 80% of the people really have issues with dairy. About 20% are fine. About 80% are not. So to stay on the safe side, I'd say coconut kefir is a really good way to get those fermented foods in the body, keep that soil rich. And there's pickles and there's all kind of ways that you can get these fermented foods, sauerkrauts and so forth. If they're on the shelf in the grocery store, there's a really good chance that they're not helping you. They're probably not fermented. So when I say something like pickles, make sure they're non-pasteurized. Make sure they're those old deli pickles. They're usually the ones that are fermented. The ones that are on the shelves usually are not. So just make sure it's non-pasteurized when you're looking for more fermented foods. But fermented foods is a great way to keep yourself from having that inflammation issue. And the second, and one of my absolute favorites, is healthy fats. And we talk a lot about healthy fats and we hear a lot about that. And an interesting point is that in order to burn fat, we have to eat fat.
Right.
That's a fact, right? So I tell people, do not be afraid. We've tested empirical data on people across the board, and what we find is that all the levels improve. So your metabolic system actually improves when you actually add fat to it. So things like coconut. I love coconut. I love coconut chips. They're great on the run. They're a great to-go food. They add great fats in your diet. Things like olives that you can grab. They're super easy and they have a real healthy fat level. I suggest a lot of times rinsing them off because they do sometimes have a lot of sodium and you have to watch that. So rinse off the olives before you eat them, but they're a wonderful snack that provides a lot of these good fats. And even meats. So a really good way, if you're eating meats, I love grass-fed. If you can even say, if you say, look, that's a little hard for me to afford, I say, well, can you do it some of the time? Because even some of the time makes a difference because the grass-fed has CLAs, the conjugated linoleic acids, and they are lower. They're very good for lowering inflammation. That's why on the program, on the bone broth diet, I gave a big yes to butter from grass-fed cows because that's different than a lot of other dairy products because this is laden in CLAs, conjugated linoleic acids, and that's why I love it. That's why I love to have anything rich like that. And it gets a big go for me. So just remember that a lot of the fats that we have been told over the years that are okay, things like sunflower oil, safflower oil, canola oil, corn oil, all these things, they're not healthy. And in fact, by the time you throw them into your cart, the chances are very good. They've already been oxidized. So if you think about like this, think about oxidation as giving your body a level of rancidity. And rancid body means inflammation. Right. Always connect those two. So the rancid oils, rancid body, that leading to inflammation. So healthy fats, those good, vibrant, healthy fats, those good old back to nature fats, don't be afraid of them. Put them in your diet. They'll help you lead this anti-inflammatory life. So we've got the fermented foods like coconut kefir. And then we have beautiful healthy fats, which are so important, like coconut oil, all of those coconut chips, which are great on the go. And thirdly, and if I could screen this and yell this, I would, it's bone broth. And I want you to think about bone broth like this. I want you to think about your intestines 25 feet. And I want you to think about them having an inflammatory issue, that is them being red and inflamed, because that's exactly what happens. It gets red, it gets inflamed, gut health is in peril. So if you get a sunburn, it's much of the same thing. Your skin is red, it's inflamed, it's uncomfortable. So what do? Well, many of us use aloe vera. We put that on our skin. It soothes it, it heals it, it brings it back to life, it rejuvenates us. Think about bone broth on your intestines working in the same way. It goes in there and reduces that redness, that heat, that irritation. It brings it down. How does it do that? Well, one of the big hoo-has about bone broth is that it's actually filled with collagen. And collagen is the glue that holds the body together. This is a great healer. This is a great euthanizer. It's one of the best things that you can add into your life to keep you young, to keep you strong, to keep you healthy. Love collagen-based shakes and so forth because you don't have any of the inflammatory problems that you do with so many of the other products on the market. I love, love, love it. But cooked collagen, interestingly enough, is called gelatin. And what's so amazing about gelatin is because this gelatin heals the gut like nobody's business. It's like aloe vera on steroids. It goes in there, it gets into all those little pockets and really heals things. So if you have this on a daily basis, can you imagine what this can do? And, as practitioners, I'm sure you know this, and you probably do this, and you do it automatically because we've been doing this for so long. Your gut health is so attached to your skin health. So you can actually look at somebody's skin. I always say, we know the physiology doesn't lie. A patient can be before me and they can tell me whatever they want to tell me, but I know the truth by their physiology. So I can bench what they're saying, engage questions, and try to find out the deeper issues and what's really going on by their physiology, right? It's so important. You just have to understand that this all fits together, right? So your skin is almost like the physiology of the gut, right? That can't lie. Because if I look at the skin, I know the health of the gut. So that's so important to radiant skin.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I'm working through about a SIBO myself, and for the last couple months, I've had some acne that I normally don't have. So yeah. It's coming around.
It's coming around, and so my son, I have to tell you, speaking of acne, almost 15, 14 was a hard year for him because he got a hormonal-based acne issue, and we solved that problem with bone broth. A lot of it was diet, and bone broth, and it was the best thing that ever happened. And even though it was a hard year for him, it was actually a gift because he knows what to do now. He has learned how food impacts the body, and that's what you want for every patient. That's what you want for every person, everyone that you come in contact with as a doctor. You want them to really understand how things impact their life. And that's why when I talk about an anti-inflammatory life, it's everything, and these are things that we talk about all the time. It's understanding about play and love and sunshine and interconnectedness and movement and thoughts and behavior. All of this, all of it matters. It's not just one thing. And I love bone broth, and it's what I talk about because it's been the most impactful thing for the people that I've worked with for over 20 years. It's been had more impact than anything else has. That's why I love it. But it's a part of the big piece, the whole big thing. And the whole big honcho is your lifestyle, right? Living the anti-inflammatory lifestyle, which is really understanding the difference between your head and your heart. This is really important, understanding what the purpose of your head is, your mind is to keep you in survival mode. It's to keep you alive. And the purpose of the heart and understanding what that is and understanding the interconnectedness of both of those things and how they fit into your lifestyle and how things like, still reading, it really matters, putting really positive messages, in your mind. It's so, so important moving forward. All of these things, believe it or not, they reduce inflammation. They keep inflammation low. So it's all of it. And for me, what I've found is that, the bone broth and the healthy fats and a lot of these fermented foods. And then I get into fat burning foods and fat. When I talk about fat burning foods, it's just how to build a plate. And we know this. It's having a healthy protein. It's having a carbohydrate, and it's having healthy fat. and a really nice, I always say for fruit, I like berries. So really understanding how to build a plate. So think about it like this. You've got your 1-2 punch. So the first thing is understanding how to build a plate. How do we build a plate? We have a healthy protein. We have a carbohydrate, understanding that carbohydrates are 2 lanes. So you have your fibrous carbohydrates, which are all the green stuff, the healthy, vibrant green stuff. And then you have your energy carbohydrates. They're the things like the sweet potatoes and the carrots and the more hardier squash and things like that give you energy. And you have to learn that the big trick in losing weight, one of the big tricks, is just understanding the energy carbs and where they fit into your life and your lifestyle. Because this is all personal play. No practitioner in the world can tell you this is exactly what you should have. That depends on the other stuff. But what's important to know is how to build this plate. So you have your carbohydrates, the 2 lanes of your carbohydrates, you have your protein, you have your healthy fats, and then you want to add fruit in. And fruit, in my mind, I love berries because berries, that natural fat burning component I talked about, that's really important. And berries lend themselves to that. Not only that, but they're like getting a natural dose of, a healthy dose of natural sunscreen, because all of the antioxidants in berries, they actually protect your skin against the harmful rays, against the harmful part of the sun. And so I love including those in the diet, but it's all about that. So that's the first part. And then the second part is adding the bone broth in. So and that's your 1-2 punch. So adding these fat-burning foods with the bone broth, it's against natural law not to look good. You're going to look good. You're going to look younger. You're going to feel better. You're going to be healthier. You're going to reduce inflammation. You're going to reverse all of these problems that we've been having: bloated, constipation, achy joints, all the skin problems that we have, all the structural problems and issues and aches and pains. It's going to reverse that because that's just what it does. When you give your body the right raw material during the life cycle of the cells. And it's not hard to do. It's just, it's like anything else. We know what to do. It's a matter of doing it. But that's the program. And then the bone broth diet takes it one step further. We use bone broth in a system called mini fasting. And that is, we have bone broth 2 non-consecutive days a week. We have people sip on bone broth during the day with 1 light meal about 7 o'clock if they need it, of just a small amount of protein, a fibrous carbohydrate like a green, and a 1 small little bit of fat. So we have that at 7 o'clock if you need it. Some people do, some people don't. It doesn't change the results of the testing of the program. It won't change your weight results if you do have it. So we use this mini fasting as a way to quicken the stored fat burning. So you can then use it as part of the program of fat burning as well.
That's beautiful. Now, on the non-fasting days, you're just drinking the broth. I mean, the fasting days, you're drinking the broth. How is bone broth incorporated in the other 5 days? So
what I say is 1 or 2 cups a day as a snack, and it's fine. It doesn't change. So you have your 3 meals, and then you have 2 cups a day. 2 cups of the bone broth during the day. So I've tested out, as far as I can see, 1 cup a day is great. That's still going to make a big difference. But 2 cups of broth a day seems to be the secret sauce and really making a heightened difference quicker in patients that are looking to heal the gut and reduce some of these aches and pains and some of the things that are going on, and to see skin changes and weight loss and so forth. And anytime you add any kind of soups, broths, things like that, you will weigh about 7 pounds less a year, is what the Penn State study showed us. That just by doing that alone, just if you say, Dr. Kellyann, you're great, your program sounds great, but I don't want to deal with it. So what I say is, if you don't have to deal with anything, but just get bone broth into your life and do that if you do that, I'd say 2 cups a day is great. If you can't, do 1, but get bone broth. But ideally, what most patients have liked is they have a cup in the morning. I have bone broth in the morning for my breakfast. I make like an egg drop soup. I always put eggs in there. I stick some kimchi in there sometimes. Sometimes I throw spinach. It's just super simple. And then they have it, a lot of times patients will have it in the afternoon for that afternoon pick-me-up. So they don't have to have the decaf coffee or whatever they have later in the day for that 3-4 o'clock pick-me-up that they need. Bone broth is really amazing for picking up your energy. And what's really crazy, it's got, all that, the goodness in there that helps pick up your energy. But at the same time, the glycine and there's other components in there that actually help you sleep better at night. So it's a really beautiful thing. And I love about it so much is that it's just food. I mean, it's just simply food.
Now, you can use bone broth in your soup. You can use it in your crock pots. I mean, there's all the way. People even make cocktails with bone broth, right? I mean, there's a lot of ways to get it in there, right?
Yes, and if they go on my website and they sign up for my cookbook, they will get a book on bone broth cocktails because I don't mess around.
All right, so if after they hear this and they click the links in our show notes to get the book, there's going to be other things that they can do. There's programs and other books and other things, correct?
Yes, and I have really top of the line products. My bone broth is super, super pasture raised, clean, and then we've got the on the go products, which people really love, and we've got bone broth protein. There's all kind of things. We're working really hard over here at drkellyann.com to really provide the best of the best.
I have a question on the bone broth because it actually came up in a call that I had earlier this morning. Your bone broth protein, is that a mixture of collagen and gelatin? Is it just collagen? Because there's a couple bone broth proteins out there now, and I don't know. I'm trying to figure them out.
Okay, so go on my website. I broke them all down. I wrote an article on it, and I'll give you a short answer. But if you go to drkellyann.com, there is an article about the different kind of bone broths and what they offer. Mine is very, very rich in the gelatinous properties, which really go the long haul, which really make the big difference. It's extremely clean. It's an extremely clean, high-end product. So, and patients do feel a difference. It's got more of the collagen, more of the gelatin, more of the nutrition packed in there.
Okay, that's what I want. I was just curious because there's a lot out there. And now, the instant packs that we talked in the beginning, that's primarily collagen in those?
It's primarily collagen in there. It's not exactly the same as bone broth, but it's pretty darn close. And I tell people if that's what you can do, great. You're still getting the collagen properties in there. You're still getting a lot of the nutrition that your body needs. And it really helps keep your skin, your hair, your nails really strong and youthful. And it goes a long way.
Okay, now, so we know where we can buy it from. If we wanted to make our own, what's the simplest way, the simple example of how to make our own bone broth?
Super, super simple. All you need to do is either you have three choices, okay? You can either make it in a slow cooker, you can make it in a stock pot, or you can make it in a pressure cooker. Now, the pressure cooker, that is a real quick way to do it. You'll have bone broth in about 4 hours, and I did check and test this out. It is gelatinous. So I did not stand behind it at first. I was wrong. It absolutely does provide you with gelatinous broth, so that's a go. Stock pot is great. You just keep it over the stove. You simmer it for a longer period of time. You kind of have to watch it. Whereas a slow cooker is my favorite way because you throw the stuff in there and you leave it. So let's just go through that. All you would do is you take some bones and you want to buy the bones. You want to have a relationship with a butcher, a local butcher. This is incredibly important, and it's a good relationship to have. They will walk you through everything. It's amazing how eager they are to tell you, what they've got. And once they know that you're making bone broth and this is what you're coming in for, it's just a super important relationship to have because you'll get great bones that way. Farms, you can buy it online. You can buy bones online. I love to get a lot of meat and products from Butcher Box. They're my favorite. They have organic meats and they deliver them straight to your door. They're super good. I really appreciate them. U.S. Wellness Meats, they're another online site. They sell actual bones there if you just want to have them shipped to your home.
And pig's feet too.
and pig's feet, which are super full of all that gelatinous stuff we talked about. Super full of it. So let's just say you want to make chicken broth. You can do it this simple. You could actually get a carcass, take the meat off the carcass, put it in the slow cooker. And I always put celery, onions, and carrots in mine just because it gives the broth a really good flavor. Even if I'm doing beef, no matter if you're doing beef or pork or fish or no matter what, I always just throw that in there as kind of a standard. And you can make bone broth with anything, really, just about anything, turkey and beef and chicken and you know, and fish, non-oily fish, I always say. It all works. So it's so easy that all you have to do is cut the onion, you know, bam, bam, 2 slices. You want to 4-way the onion. The carrot, just break them, throw them in there. Celery, bam, 1 chop, throw them in there. Then you pour water about 1 inch over all the celery, onions, carrots, and the chicken carcass, just about 1 inch over. And then whatever herbs and spices that you want, throw in there. So I like lemongrass. I love it. So I just throw lemongrass in there, put the lid on, and you want to cook it, you know, between about 18 to 24 hours, depending on, a little bit longer for beef, a little bit shorter for chicken. And you just slow cook it. The longer you slow cook it, the more gelatinous it's going to be. You could even really take it off in about 6 hours if you wanted to. It's going to be ready in about 6 hours. But you know, the longer you cook it, the more this gelatinous properties come out. So, so that's it. Super simple. And you can, if you stick some chicken feet in there, you're going to get a really powerful, if you can stomach it, you can stand those little feet wiggling around, you have got it made, because that soup is going to be super rich in nutrition.
Yeah, I personally like using chicken feet because it really makes one heck of a broth. That's for
sure. It does. It really, it's powerful stuff.
So when is the new book coming out? When can we expect this?
It's December 6th. It's coming out. It's called Dr. Kellyan's Bone Broth Diet Cookbook, and it's got over 125 recipes in there. And, you know, you will absolutely go crazy for the recipes. It's got a lot of bone broth recipes in there. It's got beautiful pictures, and it has a lot of the fat-burning foods that we talked about, you know, like Cuban pulled pork and all. It's got so many recipes in here, and it's even got some sweets, and I say sweets redefined, sweets that you can actually have that are not going to hurt you. But there's all kind. I've got Brussels sprouts and bacon in there. That's absolutely delicious. And
you know, I'm a paleo primal cookbook collector. You know,
I love that.
So I got an advanced copy of your book, and I'm just looking through the recipes, and I could just tell the audience that these are very novel recipes.
Yeah, they're
different.
Very novel.
Yes.
They're very different. They're very these are not stuff that you see scanning the internet. I promise you. These were all made specifically. I didn't repurpose anything. These are all from scratch, totally primal, and completely delicious. So people are going to love this, and you know, it's going to make a difference for a lot of people.
I agree. Any last words?
So I just want to say that, you know, we've talked about a lot of things, but I think the most important thing that I probably said during the interview was that, you know, whatever vision that you have for yourself, you really can have, because the beautiful innate body that we have, that we've been born with, that it is regenerating, it is changing. And when you give your body the right raw materials, when you really, really say, I'm going to change my food values here, and I want to live a certain kind of lifestyle. When you do that, you can have that vision of what you want. You can have beautiful hair, skin, nails, look thin, you know, feel energetic, have balanced hormones, and not be crazy town all the time. You really can have that by giving your body the right raw materials.
I agree 100%. Thank you very much, Dr. Kellyann.
Thank you. It's my pleasure.
My name is Dr. Noah DeCoy, your co-host, and you are listening to the Beyond Your Wildest Genes podcast. If you like what you've heard today, please share this with your friends and family and encourage them to subscribe on iTunes. Better yet, if you enjoyed this podcast, please give us a 5-star rating. It helps more people hear this information, and we've just eclipsed about 210,000 subscribers, so we're growing pretty rapidly. You can find a link to purchase Dr. Kellyan's new book along with other offerings from Dr. Kellyann in our show notes. And please sign up for our incredible weekly email at www.beyondyourwildestgenes.com. Thank you, and as my oldest son Hayden says, be awesome and never unawesome.